Hello everybody, and welcome to Ancient Architects. Please subscribe now to get the latest ancient history news and independent research from around the world. Sırçalıtepe is located in the volcanic Cappadocia region of Turkey, within the borders of the Kayırlı village in the province of Niğde. It's a 12-metre high mound covering an area of 210 metres by 170, and recent excavations have revealed a 9,500-year-old aceramic Neolithic settlement, with well-preserved architectural features and chipped stone finds. The site is located just a few kilometres away from the two primary sources of obsidian in central Anatolia, and at Sırçalıtepe, the obsidian finds are numerous. As well as obsidian tools, others were made of bone, and these as well as human remains have been radiocarbon dated between 9,600 and 9,300 years ago. So this is yet another very ancient site in modern-day Turkey, a site that began life not long after Göbekli Tepe went out of use. Archaeologists have discovered a specific obsidian working area located alongside a permanent settlement, as well as tools and weapons like oval arrowheads. Beads and other ornamental objects have also been recovered, such as this decorated bone object found only this year. The first surveys were carried out in 2016, and since then a number of excavations have taken place, with trenches going in at two different parts of the mound. The first trench was on the slope of the mound, and finds were generally of domestic nature. Mud brick walls and lime plastered floors were discovered, and so far 4 building faces have been identified. A substantial oven was also discovered, lined with large pebbles and bordered with vertically placed stones. Next to the oven was a white lime plastered floor, and dug into it were 2 pits. Children were found buried inside the pits. One of them died at age 3 and was buried in the fetal position in a north-south orientation. The body was then covered with animal bones, including 2 carefully placed bovine shoulder blades or scapulae. The infant in the other grave was between 1.5 and 2 years old. There was no specific layering in this grave, the context destroyed over time, and the human remains were found mixed up with animal bones. To the south of the oven, a rectangular building with mud brick walls was found, and this showed multiple renovations during its life. The first lowermost floor was painted red, and then a second grey-coloured floor covered it. A water drainage channel was also found, and this shows clear sophistication in the architectural planning. The red painted floor has been analysed and revealed the use of lime and the application of controlled high temperatures in the preparation of the floor plaster. The rectangular building is thought to be a so-called special purpose building, much like the function of the earlier circular enclosures we find at sites like Karahan Tepe and Göbekli Tepe. A burial pit was also found in the rectangular building, and this had been dug into the red painted floor. The body was intact, being a 35 to 45-year-old male, and he was buried in the fetal position. We even see evidence of an ancient burial custom, as he had an obsidian blade placed inside his mouth and a mud brick block was placed over the body. These human remains were dated between 9,487 and 9,253 years ago. The second trench was dug into the top of the mound, and there was a high abundance of obsidian napping debris, more than what we find at other contemporaneous sites in the region. There were also large pits that were filled with obsidian debris, including artefacts like bidirectional blade cores. The evidence points to this area being a specific obsidian workshop. The obsidian tools are numerous, including circular and semicircular scrapers, fan-shaped scrapers, carinated scrapers, and so on. There were also many arrowheads discovered. But as well as obsidian finds, we also find hammerstones, which would have been used in the knapping process. There were also grinding stones, pounding stones, pestles and handstones, and these were made from basalt and andesite. Being in a fragmented and used state, these objects are likely to have been thrown away. Maybe ancient Neolithic trash. Field walking also brought forth many interesting finds, including more grinding stones, handstones, pestles and mortars, and also an interesting groove stone object. There was also an example of a polisher and a sling missile. Architectural features were also encountered on top of the mound, including mud brick walls and plastered floors. As stated, this is an aceramic site, meaning no ceramic objects were used, but as well as stone objects, we also find artefacts made of bone, including a carefully crafted bone needle and a fragment of a spatula. A worked antler was also discovered, and this was interpreted as a pressure flaking tool. Around 9,500 years ago, this part of the world was in a humid period, and the landscape would have been filled with oak, pistacia and juniper trees, with high altitude regions like Sırçalıtepe being dense forests. Therefore, due to the environment, it's no surprise that at this site, we also find a diverse range of animal remains, including boars, deers, horses, hares, foxes, birds and reptiles. All of the animals were consumed on site, as we find butchered marks on some of the bones, as well as evidence of burning and gnawing. Archaeological work at Sırçalıtepe is still in a relatively early stage, but its importance is quickly becoming clear. It's the closest aceramic Neolithic settlement to the main obsidian sources in central Anatolia, and the fact we find a specific obsidian workshop may well imply that this settlement had a very specific purpose and function, maybe serving the wider community. It was a settlement and a workshop, but maybe it was like a small village of obsidian knappers, who may have exported and traded their products with other neighbouring settlements. They were in what is believed to be a forest setting, with a good source of food, with easy access to raw materials that were needed for their job. More fieldwork is planned in the future, and new papers will be released in due course. And although we've already learned a lot, there is still so much more to come, as archaeologists have only really just scratched the surface. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Ancient Architects. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, and please leave a comment below. Thank you very much.